Pull up a sandbag, as they say. Let's have a quick chat about Tamiyas and going fast. I have been, like a lot of you, I've been a Tamiya fan since I was, 10 or 11? And I've told that story a few times. I swapped my almost brand new Nintendo Game Boy for a Madcap. Anyway, that's not what this is about. Last year I caught the tail end of a speed challenge that was done by Poor Boys RC. And it turns out last year was the 3rd year, I think, that it had been done, and this year is the 4th year. My history with Tamiyas and going fast, if making videos to upload to the internet was a thing when I was 12, I'd have been doing videos of Tamiyas with hot brushed motors in going fast. And I know I look young, but when I was 12, there was definitely no internet and there was definitely no social media. And I've searched my archive and I found a post from 2012 on the Tamiya forum where I'd got a Stadium Blitzer and bought my first ever brushless motor and tried to make it go fast. It wasn't this one, this is a more recent one I've built, but I had loads of fun with it. I think I got it to, I want to say 53 mile an hour. So that was 2012, 13 years ago, and I've learned a lot about making things go fast since then. Anyway, that's a condensed version of my Tamiya history, more directed to the speed side of things, because that's what we're doing today in this video. We're going fast. And if you want to know more about the speed challenge, I will leave a link in the description to the main video with the rules and stuff. I'll also leave a link to the Facebook group if you're on Facebook. Here's a quick rundown of it and what I'm going to be doing. Now, last year the chosen chassis, I think it was an MF01. This year it's the Hornet, and I actually completely forgot until like yesterday or the day before that I have a stock Hornet stuck up on my wall. But as you'll see as this video progresses, it's kind of irrelevant really that that's stuck on my wall. Well, it's not irrelevant because I'm using it now, but you'll see. And you'll also see why the Stadium Blitzer, although that's not the chosen chassis, you'll see why this comes in handy as well. Anyway, the idea of the speed challenge is just to get everyone together and have some fun. There's 3 categories. You've got the brushed category, the brushless category, and you've got the open category. The brushed and brushless, there's got some tight kind of rules. You can't really change anything on the chassis. You can put whatever motors you want in there. You can change the wheels and tyres. You can put, as long as it's a Tamiya body, you can put whatever body you like on there. You can't custom make parts. You can't cut like all the gearbox to pieces and stuff like that. And that's the same brushed and brushless. The open category, you can pretty much do whatever you want. As long as you're using the main components from a Hornet or a Grasshopper, we'll get on to that in a minute. As long as you're using the main components and it's not just like a Hornet chassis stuck onto like an armour infraction or something. The open category is basically well, do what you want. I'm going to be entering the brushless one. Now there's a reason for that, and if you go watch a lot of my videos, you'll see that when I've got a Tamiya and I'm making it fast, I like to try and keep it looking like a Tamiya. I spent a good few years taking part in the Tamiya forum like speed challenges. Some of the fastest stuff out there, you wouldn't really know it's a Tamiya unless you were told or you looked into it a little bit more. I'm a big fan of making things fast that look like they shouldn't go fast. And hopefully that's what we're going to do in this video. So the chosen chassis are the Hornet or the Grasshopper. I think there's 2 others that share the same chassis you can use. I can't remember the name. Was it Fire Dragon and something else? And you're probably thinking, well, hang on a minute. The Hornet EVO came out recently. Straight out of the box, it sits lower. It's got independent suspension, whereas the original one is just like a solid axle with some, well, I mean, they're oil filled, but yeah, you see the difference. So that would be an easy win, wouldn't it? Wow. You're not allowed to use the Hornet EVO. It has to be the stock chassis. But in the brushed and brushless category, you are allowed to use off-the-shelf parts. They don't have to be Tamiya, they can be aftermarket parts as well, but they have to be like over-the-counter, off-the-shelf stuff. So in theory, you can convert an original Hornet to a Hornet EVO, but I'm not doing that. I'm getting myself a Grasshopper. Over the last few months, I've seen a few comments suggesting I'm on Tamiya's payroll, and you'd be completely wrong to assume that. However, if they did want me on payroll and they offered me enough money, I would go straight away. And if I was on Tamiya's payroll, I wouldn't have to sneak into their UK HQ to steal one. There's no one here. Believe it or not, I've never had a Grasshopper. I've bought 1 or 2 Grasshoppers in the past, but purely for the chassis, to chop them in half and convert Barbie Jeeps, which is something else I started just before starting YouTube. So this is my first ever full Grasshopper build. So I'm gonna quickly build it. We're gonna quickly give it a run stock with its 380 motor. I'm sure these came with a 380 motor. Tiny little 380, that's why the Hornet's better, because it comes with a 540. These come with a little 380. But we'll get on to that in a minute. Anyway, I'm gonna quickly build this. We're gonna do a quick speed run stock just to give us our baseline, and then we're gonna go crazy. Time check, 12 minutes past 12. Five to 2. Now most of it took me just over an hour and 20 minutes. The wheels, they take at least another 20 minutes to do. And I've just switched it on. Proud of myself for a nice speedy build, and what did I do wrong? You could take a little bit of time off that build anyway, because first of all I put the gearbox on upside down, so I had to flip that round. Then I had to solder an XT60 connector on the ESC, and I also got the steering bits around the wrong way, so it's because I was rushing. And I guess that's why I've missed something in the gearbox. What have I missed? How many of you were shouting at the screen saying you've put the motor on the wrong side? I've put the motor on the wrong side. That's why you should never rush a Tamiya build. Anyway, I'm gonna switch the motor around, we're gonna get the body on, and then we'll see how fast this little beast is. That's presuming I've not made any more mistakes. Right, I don't think this is gonna take long. Pop that in there. That ain't going anywhere. So, 2-cell lipo, 100% stock. I've not done anything to the geometry, it's just been built by the book, so there might be a few bits that are off. I don't know how fast it's gonna go. Oh, look at that. I'd say that is, I don't know, 12 mile an hour. Here she comes, fly by. Oh dear. This is what you would have got in the 80s. What did I say, 12? Exactly. I'm good at this. Right, anyway, the Hobbywing ESC that comes with these will run 3-cell. Let's see if we can break this thing into the high teens. Oh, that's quicker. It's so much quicker, I need to make sure it tracks straight. Full throttle. Right, don't blink, you might miss it. Gotta be careful, I don't want to scratch this body. Got a special paint scheme coming. Right, high teens, 18, there we go. So 12 2S, 18 3S, completely stock Grasshopper. 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 It's hopping. Right, this is where the fun begins. Let's go make this thing crazy fast. Although this is quite fun anyway. Oh, whoa, right, let's go. So that's how fast a stock Grasshopper is. So now, what am I gonna do to this to make it go faster? And some of you would have seen the thumbnail, and you probably know exactly what I'm gonna do to this. Well, you probably don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. I don't like looking at rules as rules, I like looking at them as guidelines. And the guidelines for this were you had to use the Grasshopper or the Hornet, but you were allowed to use stuff that you could get off the shelf. And I remembered that when I was down at Tamiya UK. Gotta be a Hornet somewhere in here. There's gotta be one. No, I'm not allowed that one. They must have known I was coming. Oh, I'm not allowed to use that one. Although it is on a shelf, I'm gonna take it off the shelf. If you think I'm cheating, that's absolutely fine. But for me, I just followed the guidelines. And there's lots of stuff in here that I won't be using, particularly the chassis. Not allowed to use the Hornet EVO chassis. Don't need the wheels. don't need the tyres. But there are lots of other bits in here on these trees that I'm sure you can buy separately off the shelf that I will be using. And yes, I do already have a Hornet Evo over there, but I'm not using anything off that. That is going to stay like that, and I will show you it at the end of this build so you can see it's still there. I've not just robbed stuff off there to make this easier for me. And before any of you start complaining and saying, oh, it must be nice to get free stuff, when I finish this build, when I finish this video, the full car with the whole setup is going to one of you. One of you guys that has entered this Poor Boy Speed Challenge is going to get my car. If I completely destroy it, I'll make sure it's rebuilt and in acceptable condition. And Phil at Poor Boys RC is going to do a draw, and one of you will get my car. And I'll sign it for you. I'll throw some stickers in the box. I'll throw a t-shirt in the box. So yes, it must be nice to get free stuff, but I'm paying it forward. Well, it's not all free because the electronics are going to probably cost more than, well, both of these kits put together. I was actually planning on building a Grasshopper Evo like a few months back. When the Hornet Evo was released, I thought it'd be really cool to do a Grasshopper Evo. And I even ordered some custom stickers for it ready to go, which we can use on this build. So it's a win-win for me and for you, because I can get to do this video, take part in this challenge, and I can also build that Grasshopper Evo I wanted to do. And I just realised this comes with bearings. I thought I was going to have to buy bearings for this. Anyway, I need to work out what parts I need, build the back end of the Hornet Evo, which will then attach to the hopper. And before I forget, you remember I said the Stadium Blitzer had some kind of relevance to this? There it is up here. Now this, I think the Stadium Blitzer, I don't think, it's not DTO2, is it? No, I don't think it is. But anyway, the gearbox has these internals, but this may be an important part, because as you can see, it's smaller than the stock Hornet Evo one, which means we can go faster. Well, it's never always that easy, but it gives us some gearing options. Although I've never fitted one, so we'll give that a go. Anyway, let's get this back end sorted. So we're at the point now where the completely stock Grasshopper chassis is going to have a few changes using off-the-shelf parts. This is the full Evo back end. I'll talk about the motor, electronics, gearing once we've finished it. I just want to get the Grasshopper rolling first. So this is the full back end. It's just a case of removing this. These bottom bits here just slot in the bottom there. These top like hooks go over the top, and wow, that's it. So I'm gonna get that done. Then I'm gonna get the front end on, because that's relatively basic as well. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about the suspension, the wheels and tires, and the electronics. I got a little bit carried away. I got in the zone. So I've done the suspension and I've kind of sorted the wheels. A little bit more fettling to do, but that's pretty much it. Now we do have a little problem, which I'll talk about in a minute. But this is it. You can see on the rear shocks, I've put some fuel pipe in there. This is just like normal nitro or two-stroke fuel pipe. And what that's going to do is limit the downward travel. So I've left it sitting quite high. Initially, I wanted it to sit lower at the back, but the fronts on these just generally sit high. So I wanted that rake. You can just kind of see that the front's a little bit lower than the rear. The rear is unable to bottom out because I've put them limiters in. So if I push down on it now, that's as low as it gets. There's some smaller limiters on the front to stop that from bottoming out. And the important bit is when it's fully compressed, you've still got a slight rake on it, so the front is a little bit lower than the rear. Now the reason I've done that is to try and stop that front lifting, but this is a rear motor, rear gearbox setup, so it's quite hard to keep the front down, but I'm going to put a few weights in the front there just to try and keep that front down as best possible. The rear foams are GPR Contact RC ones. There's the specs there. You can get two different types. These ones are drag foams. I've gone for the slightly harder compound. Fronts are Contact RC, 26mm and even harder Shore. These are 37, the lower the number the softer. 37 still quite hard, 42 is even harder. The fronts don't drive or anything, they're just rolling, so the less resistance the better. Now the Hornet and the Grasshopper come with the front wheels on them, have the bearings pushed in and they just slide across. onto, like, I don't know what you call it, the hub or the spindle or the axle. So they usually just slide onto this and just spin on this. Obviously this is a 12mm hex, so if that was just on there, it would just flop about. I mean, you could probably make it work, but I've got these little 12mm adapters that have a tiny bearing on the inside and on the front. You don't really need to shim them, but I'll put a shim in there just to take up some of the slack. That slides on over there. You have to just bore the middle hole out a little bit so it goes over that ridge. That goes on like that. Do it up as normal. Do it until it goes tight like that. And then just back it off, probably like half a turn. And there you go. It is rubbing a little bit on the inside, but I've got a fix for that, and we'll do that before we take it for a run. The rears fit straight on. They just about hit the nylon bit on the nylock nut, so hopefully they won't fall off. The other thing you can do, I'll find some nylock nuts that don't have that little like flange or whatever it is there, and they'll go on a bit more. I'm going to talk about the motor and ESC setup once I've got it in there, but the problem. Now the EVO Hornet comes with body mounts at the back there, a body mount at the front there, and on the body you have to cut a bit out, because the gearbox sticks up like that. Just so you can see, I haven't used my Hornet. So you can see there, look, there's a cutout on the body. And I just put a layer of primer down on this ready to paint, and then I remembered about that. Oh, that's the other thing. It also has these adapters. They go over the strut towers, so you can mount the shocks on. So I've got to trim some of the body there, and then I need to trim some of the body at the back. Yes, a problem. I was unsure if that was against the rules or the guidelines, but apparently it's not. So I'm going to cut this body, trim it up, get it painted, get the stickers on. Then I'm going to tell you about the electronics. Then I'm going to show you the body. Then we're going to go and give it its first run. So then, what's powering this thing? That is a Rocket V3 3.5 turn, and in kV that is 9,250 kV. So running this on a 2-cell lipo is going to give us around 77 to 78,000 RPM. So there's the Stadium Blitzer spur. Not sure if I showed you this, but I had to put 2 bearings, a standard size one, then like a smaller, thinner one. I can't remember the sizes, but I had to put a couple of bearings on there because it is a little bit shorter than the stock one. So you need the bearings just to pull it out so it sits flush. And that is a steel pinion from a Traxxas. 50-tooth spur, 22-tooth pinion. Goes in the 17-tooth holes on the stock EVO gearbox. And that motor is being powered by a Castle Copperhead 10 ESC. That will run 2 to 4S. I'm not sure we're going to need 3 or 4S for this. I think on 2S it's going to be crazy enough. But when we go and do the speed run, we'll take a 3S just in case it goes nice and straight and I think I can get a bit more out of it. Final thing is the body, and it didn't actually turn out as cool as I thought it was going to look, and that's because of my own mistake. I mean, it still looks good. Black 13, lucky for some. Now the mistake I made was I chose to paint it TS17, which is gloss aluminum. Prepped with some surface primer first, and I had some custom decals made up from MCI ages ago to do my Grasshopper Evo, and I swapped the blue for silver. And as you can see by the Grasshopper there, unless you get it in the right light like that, it's pretty much the same colour as the body, so you can't see like the silver one, so I didn't bother putting them on. I did initially put this on, but once it's on there, you can actually see the vinyl more than the colour because of the colour match. Anyway, I still think it turned out good. Mismatched wheels on purpose. I have got some white ones, but I like the black and the white wheels on there. Not putting a driver in because the air going through there is going to help on that ESC. Not putting the spotlights on, so it's a bit more slippery going through the air. And that is it. We're ready to see how fast this thing is. Right. Oh dear, I always get nervous. I still get nervous when I'm doing these speed runs. So part of the rules are that you need to do like one complete record from start to finish of your speed to make sure there's no cheating and stuff. So if I do edit this video, I'll make sure I keep the unedited one at the end for you, because it might take me a few passes to get the speed I want. Make sure I get rid of some debris. Now, just for context, well, not just to bear in mind, my PB for a Tamiya overall is, I think it's 82 mile an hour. It would be awesome to get close to that with a Grasshopper. Full throttle. Oh, that is smooth. Not fast though. That is not fast. Well, it is fast, but I wonder if we need to calibrate the ESC. What we got? 55, yeah, it's got more in it than that. I wonder if I need to calibrate the ESC. Right then, let's go again. I've calibrated it because the last time I did a speed run with an ESC like this, like a castle one, I forgot to calibrate it and it was only running 70% throttle. Going to wind it up a bit more as well, give it a bit more run. Now I know it goes kind of straight. We have got a tiny bit of gyro on it, very small amount of gyro on there. I got a nice range with this radio link, so we're just gonna send it. Here we go. There we go. No, oh, maybe a little bit quicker. Keep going. There we go. That runs nice and straight. Wow. 55 again, right. Let's get a 3S in there, see what that can do. Right then. Come on, little hopper. Little EVO hopper. What we got? 3S. Problem is, I don't want to make excuses, but this is quite a small capacity 3S. So it's probably not going to give it its full potential, but this is the first run, so I'm happy. Here we go. Not full throttle yet. Full throttle, there we go. Woohoo! That is shooting. Keep it steady, keep it steady. That was going. That's 60 plus. It's getting a little bit wobbly then. Tracking's just out a little bit. That is over 60. What was it? Whoa! 71 mile an hour. Yes. Yes. Let's sort that steering out and I'm going to go again. 71 mile an hour. Oh, there's a van coming. Let's get out of the way of the van. I'm always nervous of cars going past in case they run it over. Hopefully it can see it. Stay to the side. Thank you. Imagine that. I think that happened to Mark, didn't it? Mark Bryan last year. Some woman run his car over. Hilarious, but sad at the same time.
No! He drove into my car, Rob.
I heard it.
They've drove over my car. Can you believe that?
No.
I have nothing to say about that.
No.
Let's get on that throttle a bit sooner. That's full. Oh, she is ripping. Turn, 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 turn. Whoa. That was a ripping. I come off the throttle then because I thought it was going to go into the grass. Oh dear, what a beast. I didn't know that I'd ever be doing something like this, trying to run a grasshopper over 70 mile an hour. 72, we've made a mile an hour back. What is that in kilometres? 120, is it? 116 kilometres an hour. We can still gear up on this as well. Still could go from a 22 to a 24. Oh, I held down for ages then. Ages. I don't know if the batteries had it though. That's the third pass. I'll give it a break after this run. Did we eke any more out of it? Oh, another mile an hour. I'll take that. 73 mile an hour. $117 kilometers. Yes, and it's still in one piece. I think that might be it for today. I need to go back. I think we need to gear up. Yeah, we need to gear up, do a little bit of tweaking, and then come back and see if we can push 80 plus. That motor is very hot as well, and I don't know what that's a code from the ESC. I don't know what it says. Let's go and check the logs. So you can check the logs on this. We'll see what it's saying, but I don't know whether that's over temp. I'm not sure. A successful first run. Now I've just checked the logs because you can on the castle stuff you can connect it to a computer and you can see like your RPM, your voltage, how much throttle you put in and stuff like that. For some reason it didn't show me everything. It only showed me the RPM, the temperature and the voltage. And I also had it selected to a 4-pole motor, and this is a 2-pole. So the RPM was showing on the 3S run just under 35,000. Now it's not exactly right, but between a 4-pole and a 2-pole, when it's reading that RPM, if you kind of double it, that's about right. And it didn't run out of gears, it ran out of volts. Like I said, it's not the best battery, and with this little 3-cell, it dropped to 8.3 volts at full throttle. That was below the cutoff. The only reason I don't think it cut off was because it wasn't below the cutoff long enough to then activate it. So the sag in the battery is why it didn't reach its full potential. So we need to look for a better battery and give it another run exactly as it is. And this thing will be pulling, I reckon, 80 mile an hour plus. So looking at the KV of the motor, times it by 8.3 volts, which is what we were getting at full throttle, it kind of works out right for that RPM. So we're not getting to its full potential. But can we just take a moment to appreciate how stable the EVO platform is? All I've done is added these foam wheels. I've restricted the suspension movement. All the geometry, the toe, the camber, everything is straight as it is out the box. And that thing just ran 73 mile an hour with only a little bit of a wobble. I have had multiple Tamiyas over the years above 70 mile an hour, and I think this is probably the most stable one I've had so far. Anyway, I think I'm gonna be able to squeeze one more run in before the competition ends. I've got a lot coming up in the next 2 weeks, but that is my first attempt at this speed challenge, 73 mile an hour, and there is still a few weeks left, so you can get involved. If you've got a Hornet or a Grasshopper and you wanna have a go have a go. Even if you get one run in, go have a go, see what you can get. This is my effort, and remember, someone in this challenge is gonna get this after I've finished with it. On my way back, I remembered I'm potentially on the runway on the 31st of this month. That is the last day for entering any speed runs in. A runway.